What are some of the things I will talk about, and I won't keep you for too long. So I want to talk a little bit about kind of your journey into music, because I know that I don't know much about your journey before The Voice.
Yeah.
And also I think it's really interesting for other artists to hear about your experience on The Voice, because we all have been contacted by these people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, like everyone gets that email from someone saying you should go on this show. And
Do it.
yeah, you know, and it's
Yeah,
like a legit path for some
yeah, yeah.
independent artists out there. So I mean, I don't personally know anyone that has done a TV show competition before. I think you might be the first person.
Thanks.
So tell me about your experience on The Voice, or how it came to be.
I think it was one of those. It was one of those messages that you got, and I'd been just sort of mainly sort of focusing on sort of school and working through that, and I'd done sort of. I was playing sort of with different artists and stuff like that, sort of on the side, but not really doing sort of my own stuff. And this came along, and I just turned 30, and I just thought, well, do you know what? If I'm not going to do it, if I'm not going to do it now, I'll never do it. And then if you ever play and then someone says, oh, why didn't you do it? Not like a last chat, well, I suppose in a way, it was just like, I've got nothing to lose. Why not just go along, enjoy it, and not sort of not rest everything on it. And it was crazy because I went along, and you're hearing all these people just doing these ridiculous vocal runs, and you think, I'll just get my coat. But I went in and then just kept getting invited back, and yeah, it was incredible. And I think just the people that you get to work with that are behind the scenes, like the vocal coach was stunning, and sort of like the people that she'd worked with, and I think it's just invaluable for all of that. And I think the main day where you're going up and singing in front of everyone, I think that's the bit where it's nerve-wracking. But I
So
think I was quite.
how many times had you been there before you ended up on what we see on the television?
I think I'd been there about six or seven times.
6 or 7 times.
Yeah, yeah.
There's auditioning.
Simon, are you sure you want to do this? I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
did you go off your own back, or were you contacted?
I got contacted, and then I had to change around my things because I was meant to go in for this scouting thing, and then I was taking a group of kids from the school away for like a haven holiday because a load of hadn't been. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, but I'm not cancelling this. And then they were like, oh, that's fine, you can come down to London and do it there. So yeah, so it was a
Nice.
nice day out. Yeah.
And then you went and did 6 or 7 auditions beforehand.
Yeah, I think it was about that. It felt like it was quite a few, and then you go and do sort of like some rehearsals before. But yeah, I think there was thousands that had applied for it. So you sort of keep going back, and they keep sort of whittling it down. And yeah, we met some lovely people that you just sort of, but then they came out and some didn't get through, and you're just like, oh, this is harsh. It is a really harsh system. So I feel really sort of lucky to. I mean, it didn't feel as harsh. I think that's why I went for The Voice rather than. I don't think I would have applied for the other one. I think they asked me, said, why The Voice and not any other show? I think I just went. I think you're all a bit kinder. I don't want to get all the abuse.
I guess as soon as you go into like the TV business world, it can become far more cutthroat.
Oh yeah.
Did you see that around you?
On the fact of just sort of people turning up and then just leaving and not getting through, because I think the first thing that you were in, it was like you're in sort of like a circle of people, and then everyone just stands up in front of one another and sings like 30-second a cappella tune. So I think I did I Can't Make You Love Me and did a sort of pretty close, tried to do a close sort of Bon Iver sort of rendition of it, and then got called back, and then did another couple of songs for them. But yeah,
what exactly compelled you to do it?
I think it's one of those, you always sort of end up in those situations where people will say, oh, why don't you do one of these shows? And I think you sort of go through a thing of an artist, definitely sort of like sort of in my sort of 20s, you're just like, oh, I wouldn't touch that ever, because you do think that it's just it's like an easy route, but I think it's hard because you are putting yourself up in front of people. But I think with that as well, you do lose an element of control of sort of your brand or your artistry and your creative idea, because they've got producers and they've got a whole sort of team to look into that. So you sort of almost do give that up for them. But then in my mind at that time, it's just like I didn't have sort of anything much on. I was enjoying playing for different people and doing a lot of backing. And so, well, why not? Just give it a go. And I was really happy with the experience, because everyone was just like, oh, you should have gone further. You should have chosen a different judge. It's like, you're not going to pick anyone different than Tom Jones if he goes for it. I don't know. I was just. Yeah.
I guess I guess your mindset maybe going into that was probably quite a healthy one. You know, if you're going into this sort of thing which is televised and, you know, really hyped and talked about, we all know what it is, you know, to then go in with a mindset of, oh, I'll give it a go. I guess that's probably the best way to do these things.
I think so, because I think you saw sort of a lot of young adults that had come in sort of like 16, 17, and they've been set, their focus is that's everything, and maybe sort of me just going in with a family and thinking, you know what, I've got a house, I've got a job that I go to, I've got these things. It's not the be all or end all. It's amazing sort of however far you get, but I think each time I went back, I was just sort of trying to take something out of the experience. So like the vocal coaches and stuff like that. I don't think I took much from the stylists, but but that's just me. That's what.
How full on was it when you said that they had, you know, there's producers and people that have got their own ideas of how you should be represented? How did you manage that?
I think I'm probably quite a yes man in that sort of situation where it's just like, oh, we've got this, and then you'd sort of they were quite good into sort of saying we've got a choice of 3, but then sort of like on stuff that you'd wear, they'd generally pick stuff for you. I mean, I only had that sort of in the battles rounds, but then they know what they want it to look like, and I mean, my fashion sense, I wouldn't feel sort of comfortable to argue it down. Sort of like, no, I think joggers is the right way to go. It's one of those. It's like you just take it for what it is, and then they're giving you the airtime, and then. But it did give me a real sort of kick up the backside just before it went on. I think, do you know what? You've got lots of tunes that you've done, but you haven't sort of recorded them or made the most, and it just sort of it sparked something up to get me to just sort of create a lot more. So I owe it a great deal to just sort of getting me back in that mindset of doing a lot more solo stuff.
That's such a healthy mindset to have. I mean, from the perspective of me, who has kind of been relentlessly doing it for so long, the idea of a TV show to me just seems like completely out of the question. It's like, what? No, I'd never do that, you know. And some of the stories I've heard of peers, or not like friends, but people I've heard in the industry that have done it and then have just completely ruined their lives and their identity, and they haven't found a way to springboard into the independent music industry or the music industry. And it sounds as if you have found a way of doing that.
I think I talked with a few people after, and I did a few collaborations, and they were like, you might want to sort of think about sort of changing your name so there's not that association straight off of, oh, it's that guy from the TV show. And it seemed, I think I was a bit dubious about it at first until sort of the sort of musical sort of identity started to sort of come through with just sort of the way we started producing, and just sort of that creative mindset sort of owed itself to, yeah, this is Saer. And then sort of the Simon Davies stuff can be like going off the back of some of the voice things as well. So it felt like there was a healthy sort of separation sort of being put in, because I think it is quite easy to sort of end up in, whether you're going down a corporate route or whether you're going down a creative. And I think you can do bits and bobs, but I think it's you need that distinctive difference between them, and it was sort of the production and stuff like that was separating it. So
it's interesting how you almost came away from The Voice and you felt largely positive about the experience, but you knew you had to create this separate identity. Is that right?
I'd say so. I think so, just to have that sort of distance between it. And it was, I think there'd be a lot of thought of like, what the hell are you doing? Sort of when people know that they're searching for so and so, but it feels like a good challenge, because then I think you have that as that sort of that artist sort of mindset, is that no, I want to do it from scratch and so. But it's been great to just sort of be able to put both stuff out, and then just sort of have there's a few sort of links that people make from it, and sort of people will find out, say, from mentioning Simon Davies and stuff like that. So it's worked out so far. It's worked out quite nicely. So.
And how would you describe the difference between Simon Davies and Saer?
I would say I think Saer's just, it's more sort of emotive. I think Simon Davies could go and sort of do covers and could do I think it's that separation of just sort of like, I think when you're thinking about Saer, it's more of that presentation, so that production, and maybe just a bit of a shift the nerves up a bit, and it's like a alter ego. Yeah, it looks very much like.
I know a lot of people that have done that. A lot of people, more and more actually, have kind of maybe changed their stage name, or they've eventually gone back to their normal name, and I think it's really important to highlight like how much as a musician your identity can change, and how that's okay, because as soon as you make one decision, there's a lot of pressure put on us to keep that and be pigeonholed and stay there.
Oh, completely, because I've had this with the whole lockdown situation, because we're going down a real sort of electronic route, but then sort of left to my own devices, I think, sort of just in a room, it can sort of quite easily go folky and sort of very singer-songwriter sort of quite, and be quite sparse. So I think with a few people who've had that conversation, well, is this still the same route? And I'm thinking, yes, definitely. I think you only have to look at bands like Bombay Bicycle Club, when they brought out Floors, and you're just like, this is nothing like what you've done before, but it is absolutely stunning. And then they put out like a completely different record next time. It's just inspiring that you don't have to be pigeonholed. I think you can just keep creating and do what feels right at that time for you.
I think Floors is still my favourite.
Yeah, I love it.
It's the best one, hands down. Like, I'm a big fan of Lucy Rose as well, who did all the backing vocals. But yeah, I'm fans of them, and I've seen them on, what tour was it? What's the record that Wherever Whenever is on it?
Oh,
Wherever. Da-na-na,
I know the one you
da-na-na.
mean. Rubbish with names.
Whatever that record is, I've seen them on that tour, and you know, I would give anything to be able to see Floors start to finish.
Yes, yeah.
I feel
Because
like it's the curveballs that really like make someone.
yeah, because I think that feels like a real sort of personal. I think it's just as soon as you put that folk element into it, someone's just letting their heart out, really, aren't they? And you can just you can hear that. So it's such a powerful album, and you just think, oh, I was not expecting
Mhm.
this to come from where they were and then where they went after. So it's yeah,
One of the
yeah,
most interesting things I find about you, Simon, is that I don't know if you realize it or not, but you're actually very different. Like in terms of your journey into music and the stuff you do, and you know, you put out covers and then you'll bring out this beautiful song about your father. Like you really do things your own way completely. And I don't know if you even realize that.
I don't know. It's I think I'll just tend to sort of do things as they feel right. Because I mean, like that song, Start a Fire. I'd had that a while ago, and it was a case of I'd done some chords, and I think it was just after he died. I think it's whenever I can get round to actually finishing stuff, but it's just wherever your mind's at that time or what you're ready to do. And it was a case of I had this piece of music and then started writing some stuff down with that in mind. And then I think as soon as you're in a place, then the lyrics can come really quickly. And I don't know, it was a song, and I've done it a few times with different things, and it's just like you'll get the lyrics out, and I'm not the best. I'm not the best talker for sort of saying my emotion. I will just go quiet and sort of things. I'm a muller, so I'll mull things over for a long time. But then sometimes there'll be a case of just putting lyrics down, and it would just break me down, and then it just sort of builds you back up to be able to perform that each time. And yeah, it's a real. I think it's just a sort of real release and cathartic. And with a lot of music, because I need to get better at writing sort of happier tunes. I don't think I'm a happy, jolly
You don't need to do
writer.
it.
But you know, you don't need to. Maybe throw in one
You
in
don't
you.
need to do it. I remember when I was like pretty young doing like open mic nights and maybe like 17, 18, like grinding my way through, and people would just sometimes be like, oh, you should write some happier music, you know, and it's like,
Yeah,
well, and I really tried, and it's some of it I released, and even when I listen back to it to this day, I'm like, oh, it's just not me.
yeah,
Like I tried really hard to write this happy song, and now I just hate it with so much passion,
yeah.
you know. And yeah, like people tell us to do weird shit all the time.
Yeah, and I
And
think you've just got to see what your influences are, and the majority of people's influences will be that stuff that's just sort of they're just sort of like yeah, they're letting the heart out, and they're giving a real sort of emotive like performance, or just clearing something sort of off their chest that they've not been able to say. And
Mhm.
yeah, and that's the stuff that moves you. I mean, like I love a good sort of car drive in the sun with a banger, but I'm not the one to write those. I think I've come to the conclusion, and I don't mind. I'm quite happy about
But it
that.
it leads us quite nicely onto your new single, "Call Me Out," which I don't know if you feel the same way, but I actually really closely link it to "Start a Fire." Like I almost see them like if they were on a 7-inch record, it'd be like the A and B.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Um,
I get that.
very very similar feel, and you're obviously being very very open about in "Start a Fire." You're talking about losing your father, which on its own is, you know, a horrible dark process to go through, and then you write this beautiful song for your daughter, and you're being, it's so fragile. Like I'm so excited to release it because I'm just like, everybody, let this 2.5 minutes stop you in your tracks and just make you think about someone you love, or, you know, really take this 2.5 minutes to just reflect, because that's what it does for me. Like, I'm so excited for people to hear it. And I just see them so closely linked, because the theme of family is so complex and there's so much to it, but you say what you need to say and then you just leave the audience to cry.
I think it's a case of just sort of sharing that thought of we haven't got as long as we often think that we have, and it's just making the most of that. I mean, I remember I was working in, I think the chords came for that, and it was just after I was this teacher in a special needs school, and we lost one of the lads. He passed away, and we're in sort of loads of meetings, sort of talking about what we want to do, what we want to put in, and then it always came up to the thing of like cost and everything like that, and just like, well, who's going to cover this? And a lot of the time you just thought, let's just put some actions in, let's just do stuff. And it's that thought of, like, in sort of meetings and talking about what you'd love to do, and sort of saying to your children, wouldn't it be great if we did this? Or like, and it's just sort of sticking to those promises, and the actions. You need the actions to sort of encompass everything. But yeah, there's sort of loads of little things like that. It's like, I think there's like an old family member that passed away. This was like years back, and I was a kid, but I still remember it. And he had like I think got up in the loft, and he was just sort of saying, it was like a little sort of cubby hole. It was like, oh, we'll have, like, you can have some fish and chips in there with your friends and stuff like that, and just sort of like a little hideaway. And he passed away, and it never happened, but it was always in my mind, oh, we never got to do sort of those things. So it's just sort of, it was a plea to her to sort of hold me to anything that I'd promised. And I think that whole thing of just sort of time can easily get away from us, and especially with sort of distractions in life, it's quite easily things get put on the back burner. So yeah, so it's a free pass to nag as the worst way that I could describe it. But yeah, it's just for her to sort of be able to say.
And one day she'll listen to it. I mean, how old is she now?
She is 5. She'll be 6 on Christmas Day.
Oh, baby. Wow, Christmas baby.
Yeah. Woo.
Oh, so she's gonna. So she. Oh, actually, has she already heard this song?
Yeah, she has. I think she's yeah. Stop. I said, oh, this is for you. It's like, she's into her Disney songs at the moment, so it might take some time. But yeah.
One day she'll find it like in the archives of her dad, like when she's kind of coming to the age where she started to appreciate music, maybe like 14, 15.
Yeah. Do you know what? It was all right, actually. Yeah. So I'm not allowed to sing in the car, anything like that. She has to sing everything. Don't sing, Dad.
Be a good dad.
Don't sing.
Not for you.
Yeah.
And how? I mean, I'm not a parent myself, and I already know how difficult it is to, weigh your personal life with your career, especially if you've got your day job as well, which I imagine is like a full-time thing. How the hell do you make all of these spinning plates work together?
I think with work, I made a big decision to come away from that, and to just sort of, at first sort of, I dropped my hours, and then thought, you know what, if I can go into places and still do the job that I love and be able to sort of offer that round, then I'll still feel like I'm doing something that I love, and something really purposeful. But then but I think sort of being that in that teacher role, you could come back and you could be working up through till like 12 or 1 o'clock, and you just wouldn't switch off. So I think to start with, I'd sort of taken a drop in days, and but then you'd be working through those. So I just thought, well, let's shift it up and let's see where we're going. And then sort of I left sort of some days. I left a day to be able to sort of do some music jobs, because I was doing some composition jobs for different things, and some more had started to come through. And then off the back of the voice, some sort of gigs and things like that were coming in. So I just thought, I want to be in a position where I don't have to turn things down, and I can be available to do it, because stuff like this doesn't come along, and you've just got to make the most of it. And there's always going to be that need for teachers. So I just thought, well, let's risk it. And it was shit scary doing it, but it was I think it was one of the best things that I'd done. And I think being in that situation of being a teacher, you would come back and just think, I need to do this work, and then sort of whilst trying to cope with sort of the needs of a family as well, and not just the kids, it's wife as well. It's just sort of making sure that everyone's appreciated and heard as well, and it's really difficult to do. So I made that decision to sort of make a few changes in my life, to be there more for the kids, and to hopefully be a better husband. And it put me in a better mindset to be that.
Do you ever get time to yourself?
I would say for it's generally sort of evenings, I think, because so me and Amy sort of will have sort of evenings together as well. But then sometimes I'm really lucky, because we got I did have everything up in Ben's my second child, and I had a little sort of studio set up in his room, and then he kicks me out. So we built sort of a shed, sort of fancy shed in the garden, and then I've slowly accumulated more and more stuff. So it's a great little hideaway to come to. So I think it will be from once they're in bed, and I can just sort of stay in here, do some work, and then in between those sort of gaps in between is just sort of where you just pick up an acoustic instrument and then just sort of let rip, or you might end up just playing the same few chords just over and over again, just to get your head into a space. And I'm lucky to have the space and the time and that sort of relationship with Amy, that that we'll sort of share with each other, to right, you go and do something creative, right, you go and do something creative, because she's creative as well. So she writes sort of scripts, and she's a drama teacher. And
nice. So you're both kind of on the same wavelength when it comes to creativity.
I think so. And I think she often says about she wants to try, and it's really difficult to get in that mindset of creating stuff that's sort of your own identity, and coming away from sort of being that parent all of the time. Because I think she sees that a lot. It's I want to sort of be almost creatively independent. I am a mother, but I am creatively independent as well at the same time. So I think she's gone through sort of quite a bit of a battle with that to do it. And I think it's going to be one of those that's always sort of shifting. But I think it's everything sort of with the kids, and sort of life just informs what you create. So I think I found sort of once we had kids, I don't know what it did. It did something. I know it would have done much more to her, and I'm gonna say, but like, I was watching films after we had kids, I just couldn't hold the tears. So there were certain things that you got that you just sort of had. Just stuff would get to you more, I think. So yeah, like, what did I watch? I fell to bits. Mrs. Doubtfire. But the end of that, it's tragic. It's terrible.
It is.
Yeah. Coco as well.
Oh, Coco.
Yeah.
I can't get through Coco.
Yeah.
Oh.
I started crying again, trying to retell that to Amy. She came down the stairs. She was like, "What's wrong with you?" And then I started to tell her about what had happened. I was just like, "I can't."
I know.
Yeah.
The thing is at Coco that really like tipped me over the edge is well, there's a couple of reasons why. Like, first of all, I had a very beautiful relationship with my nan who passed away, so I had that pain there, like, oh my god. But then what really kind of took me back was just the culture of celebrating the dead. And I just thought, yeah, do you know what, as Brits we're missing a lot of tricks in life anyway, but we are like missing this trick. Like, why are we not celebrating people that we love and have passed in this way, you know? Like, they're treating it like a festival, and it's definitely made me just take another think about the ways that I want to celebrate my nan or anyone that I have lost.
Yeah. And I think, so doing stuff that they loved as well. And it's just anything that you can do sort of in a sort of joyous way.
I feel like as a culture, when it comes to death, we're like super morbid, you know, and it is morbid, it is dark, it's sad, you know, losing someone's never gonna be easy, but why, I just feel like there are definitely ways that we could be celebrating their lives more than we do.
Yeah, definitely.
I saw this Facebook post the other day, which is very disturbing to people that don't have the same mindset as me when it comes to death. And I told my girlfriend about it, and she definitely didn't get it. But there is a culture somewhere in the world, I need to double check it, that every year dig up the bodies of the people that have passed. Right, and they're preserved, sort of, like they are decomposing, but they're preserved in a way which means you can safely touch them and bring them back. And because of my fascination with Coco, and now that way of celebrating death, I couldn't help but really look at these photos of these corpses, which is like really weird. But I was really like, oh my god, look at them, and they're clothing them and feeding them, and they're playing music to them. And I just thought, I don't think I would go to the length of digging up a corpse, but like, let's just like take a leaf out of their book. Do you know what I mean? Like, look how, like, if what they're doing is strange, but they're doing it for this very pure reason. Like, why are we not doing these things?
I think that thing of celebration is definitely needed, because I think it's a case of bringing people. It brings, like, death can bring people together that haven't been together, and it can also sort of, as morbid as it can be, I think it sort of puts things into perspective, to especially for some families, to just sort of park their shit that they've maybe been arguing about for years. And I think you've got to sort of take the joy out. You've got to take the joy from that and think, look, we're in this relationship, and sort of hopefully in some way this could be their last wish, to see something good sort of come from it. It's awful, but I think there is a case of finding some positives in it. I think because a lot of families do come back together, and and especially with sort of the amount of people that are losing people at the moment. And I think we're going to have a sort of real sort of resurgence of sort of people coming together for wakes, and hopefully they can sort of see a way of celebrating together, of ending sort of this time of being apart for so long.
Yeah, I know.
Because they'll get together and just think, why aren't we doing this more often? Because it's always the case. Why are we only meeting for funerals and stuff like that? Why aren't we meeting together to celebrate life? And so I think
I'm with you on that Coco love, Simon.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not bringing the shovel to the next fight. But we'll have a fight. We'll get the guitars out. And
do it. Yeah. Brilliant. I do actually really do love Coco though, now I think about it. I remember in lockdown, like, obviously Disney Plus came out at the same time. And, I was like, I'm just going to take myself upstairs and watch a film. And I did. I was in bed, put Coco on, and my girlfriend came up the stairs about an hour later to find me just like sobbing.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Do you want to turn it off?" And I was like, "No." I just wanted to like get through the pain because I loved it so much.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I know. It's slightly off topic, but I'm glad we went there.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's all family, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything that you want to tell people about your latest single? Because whether this goes into podcast form or goes into a nice Q&A video piece, I really do want to make sure that if there's something you want to say about the single, you say it.
Okay. Yeah. Call Me Out is going to be out on the 10th of September and released with the wonderful Babywoman Records. And it's a song about making the most of your loved ones. In my case, it's a song for my daughter to hold me to any of the promises that we make and not letting life's distractions get in the way.
Perfectly put. And thank you for letting me release it, because you actually put it on YouTube as like a random song.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what's Saer up to? Because we'd played that show together a couple of years ago, and I was completely floored by you. And I just thought, what is this? I want this. Give me it.
It was so yeah, I was so touched, and yeah, I thought this is brilliant, because it felt just sort of like, it felt like it's definitely a personal tune, but it almost sort of felt like a sort of lullaby sort of type thing that I was going to put out, and I'm really proud of it. So for you to pick it up as well, it meant the world. It was
I can't wait. I just can't wait for people to hear it. I really can't. And you know we've kind of covered all bases here. We've gone from the voice to identity to being a father to Coco, and now to finish off this lovely interview, can you tell us a little bit about where's next for Saer?
I think I would love to be playing some live shows when it's completely safe to do so. I'd love to be doing that, and I think I'm just going to keep putting out some different recordings and try and get back into that routine of doing some of the live streams, because I really enjoyed that, and it kept me in such a sort of good routine, and then sort of getting that interaction from people. I'm quite looking forward to doing that, and like I said, I've been a bit of a, well, I say a bit, I'm a massive geek, so the way that we've sort of set different things up now with sort of like different cameras, and I took, because my mum's downsizing, because it's just her on her own in the family house.
Right.
So she's going to move around the corner from us, but she said, "Oh, what are we going to do with this piano?" And we were like, "Oh," I think I felt really down about it. So I don't want to see this piano go. And then I said to Amy, I said, "Well, can I have it?" She was like, "So yeah, if you have it in your space, that's fine." So we got it, and I've got it here, and it's so I've got a little camera on it. So there's like a little hammer cam. Yeah,
beautiful.
Proper nerdy now, yeah. But I'm looking forward to sort of sharing different things like that, and it's trying to sort of make the space work, and then how to sort of share that to the world, and yeah.
Cool. Well, keep doing it, Simon, because it's lovely, and one of the things I love most about you is that it's from such a pure place.
Thank you.
You come across as if you're, this guy, you're doing your thing, you're trying to make it all work, and you've got nothing to prove, and I really, really respect people like that.
Thank you so much.
No, man, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure working with you as well. Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been nice. It's actually been one of the easiest ones for me.
I'll take that.
Actually, which is nice. It's like everyone's on the same page. It's it's cool. Expectations are set. It's like, yeah, I'm feeling it, and I think people are going to really feel that as well when they hear the song. There's no other place that song comes from. Like, there's not a weird intention there. It's just this pure 2.5 minutes of love, and I'm such a sucker for music like that.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
so yeah, thank you, Simon. I'll let you go. I'm gonna go crack on with my soup. I'm making broccoli and Stilton soup.
very nice.
Yes.
Does that stink the house out, or is it all right?
No, it's all right actually. Make it in a little crock pot with a lid.
Very nice.
It's all
That's
good. It's all about the lid.